Manny Pacquiao started his career in 1995 at the age of 16 years old and has fought 71 times since then. Here's a list of his toughest opponents. To start this list off, we're starting with the Puerto Rican great Miguel Cotto. People like to discredit this fight, stating Cotto was broken goods, and he was drained in this matchup. Based on what I've seen from Cotto, prior to the Margarito fight and after, I believe this is untrue. He still looked like the Cotto of old, his fight with Jennings.
The hook to the body that puts him down finally here in the fourth. Jennings has never been stopped after the XD has gone to his A material. Jennings is trying to hold on for the end of the fourth round.
The Clottey bout pre or post Margarito, it would have looked completely the same because of the styles of the two. Clottey is an incredibly large welterweight with an impenetrable defense. The con to his defense is the lack of offense, in which whenever he does throw, it's accurate and damaging. But he waits till his opponent has stopped throwing punches before he mounts up his own offense.
He's just putting that much pressure on him when he's fighting on the
When Cotto was consistently throwing shots, Clottey had no answer. The minute he would take a break, it was absolute hell. For a style like Cotto in this matchup, it was in Clottey's favor.
hard right hand against that
Real leg right there. That's why he doesn't do too much and loses his balance off.
Oh, Miguel Cotto can't see any right hands coming. And they're really turning his head around.
Pacquiao saw this huge flaw with Clottey, and with his style, it was perfect, making it one of Manny's easiest fights. The second was the weight issue. Cotto did not come into the fight drained. Cotto came into the Pacquiao fight in his best shape at welter. He easily made the catch weight as he started training camp 20 days before there was an official date made and before the fight was announced, which it clearly showed at the weigh-in. Cotto looked like he was going to beat Manny, and at the start of the fight, it really was not looking good for Manny.
I would suggest by Cotto's foot, but I just cannot see that.
He snapped Pacquiao's head back.
Manny's biggest issue was Cotto's jab. He couldn't find a way to get around it.
That middle range where Pacquiao can counter Manny if he tries to respond like he is right. Crowd comes out of his seat for that one.
In the third round, Manny finally found how to counter over the jab, resulting in a huge turnaround. Pacquiao dropping Cotto in the third round. Cotto was rebounding big in the fourth, but something I noticed from Pacquiao and the Mexican legends that fought Manny at super featherweight, just the way they refused one fighter to get away with a rally and come back with their own rally out of nowhere from all different kinds of angles. Cotto has never seen something like this before and really didn't know what to do.
Every once in a while he'll settle into a groove, land 3 or 4 jabs in a row, and look like maybe he's getting back into the fight. Then Manny unloads his arsenal and peppers him with right hooks or left hands, and suddenly reality sets in again.
What made matters worse was the complete incompetence of his trainer, who had absolutely no background at all. Tired and with no plan B, Cotto fell apart and was stopped in the 12th round.
The 50th win of Pacquiao's now legendary career.
I would have to call him an all-time great. I mean, I am very impressed.
Before fight fans thought that Manny was out of his prime after the 4th Marquez fight, people back then, as early as 2006, thought Manny has lost a step due to the wars he's been in. After being knocked out by Israel Vasquez, pacquiaovsRíos moved up 2 weight classes to fight Pacquiao. Though Oscar had moved up 2 weight classes, the size difference between the two was pretty equal. An unusually slow start by Manny set the pace for Oscar to shine.
Well, this has been a good round from Larios. Not really allowed Pacquiao to set up anything.
And it didn't take long in the start of the 3rd round. Oscar cracks Manny, and for the first time in a while, we see Manny genuinely hurt, then to be bombarded by shots from Oscar.
Catches him on the ropes. Well, this is something.
Pacquiao was able to recover and mount a heavy rally with no response from Oscar to ultimately put control into the fight and cruise to a unanimous decision victory.
Pacquiao, that was a really big win for him. Speedy, and the combinations. Back he goes, onto the mission, and down Larios goes. Second time in the fight, in the final round. 40 seconds left.
24-year-old Pacquiao was against veteran opponent Yesh Maganbitov of Kazakhstan. Pacquiao started the fight well, till in the 4th round, he was dropped by a picture-perfect right hook. It almost looked like he wasn't going to make it out the fight. Pacquiao was able to weather the storm and change the tide of the fight completely in the 5th round with 2 straight knockdowns, resulting in the ref to stop the fight. One of the most physically damaging fights in Pacquiao's career was against Antonio Margarito. Pacquiao fought his ass off to keep Margarito off him. The size difference between the two was a lot. Manny, who can easily come in at the welterweight limit, or 2 pounds below the limit for strategic reasons, to barely cracking 150 at the weigh-in. Let alone this fight is for the junior middleweight title. Though Margarito got demolished, the punches he was landing on Manny were damaging blows due to the weight difference between the two. Pacquiao after the fight was reported visiting a doctor for hip and pains in the ribs. You can put up the whole Pacquiao-Marquez quadrilogy on this list, but if I just had to select one from their series, it would be their 3rd matchup. Now let's go back a couple years prior to this matchup. Marquez makes a move up to welterweight for the first time against Floyd Mayweather. In that fight, Marquez looked too bulky, straight carved up to the max, and very slow compared to Floyd. His hand speed looked like how most people throw punches in their dreams. Now fast forward to when the 3rd fight was made. That welterweight Marquez was still fresh in people's heads, even Manny's head as well. The betting line had Marquez at plus 550 and Manny at negative 900. Not many thought Marquez was going to put on a good fight, as Manny at that point was at the peak of his popularity. Marquez from the opening bell shocked onlookers and Manny. Marquez was not only able to perfectly put on the weight this go, to retain his speed from super feather and lightweight. And for Manny, he is unexpectedly in a tough fight.
Ejercicio para velocidad, para hacer fuerza y a la vez velocidad, porque estás tirando con peso y cuando te las quitan, eso es para trabajar más las fibras blancas. Ahorita es un trabajo más diferente porque antes lo hacíamos con 2 o 3 rounds, ahora son con repeticiones, entonces estamos acostumbrados a trabajar, pero de alguna manera ahora es diferente.
Incredibly hard fought bout that literally came up to the final rounds, as it was really that close in the scorecards. Marquez receiving by far an out-of-character advice from Nacho Beristain that he is up on the scorecards and he should play defense rather than go out and finish the fight.
Que piensa que yo lo mandé a buscar la manera de sobrevivir el último round sin peligro, están equivocados. Solamente que los jueces te roben la pelea. Es imposible que puedas.
Throughout boxing history, when the fight is this close, and you're fighting the champion, or it's a prize fight, you must take the title away from the champion. This was a huge error by Marquez. Manny came out guns blazing to win that round, which he did, and that was the deciding factor by the official scorecard ruling. Manny just escaped by a close decision. This fight is high on my list because what Pacquiao had to go through, which the fight ended in a disgusting technical draw. In 2001, Pacquiao was unifying his IBF title against by far one of the dirtiest fighters in boxing history, Agapito Sanchez. Due to absolutely awful refereeing, Sanchez was shockingly not disqualified for his intentional headbutts and low blows. I counted by the end of the fight, Manny received 15 incredibly clean low blows.
IBF junior featherweight title. Low blow. Down goes Pacquiao.
And 9 blatant headbutts.
Time and missing the mark. Sanchez lunging in almost another. Pacquiao now it's getting busy inside. Pacquiao wants to go. He wants it to go. Let's go. Big punches on the right. Pacquiao.
Sanchez should have been disqualified, fined, and suspended for this disgusting performance. This is how fighters end up receiving serious brain injuries. And it sucks that not until really recently, with the incident with rising prospect Richard Colon, there is better officiating with guys who really like to take advantage bending the rules, like Agapito Sanchez. This fight takes the cake as the #1 toughest Pacquiao opponent. Heads up, the footage is in potato. I've never really seen a good quality rip of this fight. 21-year-old Manny was making his third defense of his WBC international title against undefeated Nadal Hussein. Nadal at the time was by far Manny's best opponent and biggest test. At the start, it just looked like your average Pacquiao fight. Then it went from 0 to 100 quick. Manny runs into what looked to be a jab, and it drops into the canvas like a sack of potatoes. He looked absolutely finished, barely holding on. Nadal does the dumbest thing of trying to throw Manny around and throw punches while the ref is trying to break it up. Manny having hometown advantage, the ref gladly pulled Nadal to the side and took points off, giving Manny precious time to recover. The ref had to jump in a couple more times because Nadal was fighting absolutely dirty, throwing his elbow and shoulder in with his shots. This guy was pretty much Cleveland Brownsing himself. He's just trying to find ways to lose here when he got an incredibly hurt fighter in front of him.
Oh my gosh! Nadal Hussein, a dirty fighter. So, sino pinapakita nitong Hussein na to? Oh, ayan na naman! Oh my God! Nadal Hussein. Sumuntok na naman! Sumuntok na naman dalawang beses si Hussein after the bell. There has to be some calm restored here. But further, I also think the referee has lost control of this fight.
Manny ends up surviving the round, then to mount a rally. He was able to get Nadal cut bad, and since it was due to a punch and not a foul, the fight was stopped at 1 minute 48 seconds of the 10th round. And on top of that, good to be back, guys. For more videos like these, be sure to like, and if you're new, subscribe. I'm Office Honcho, and I'm out.